Hi everybody, I wanted to remind you there's a linear transformation poster on the back wall, which means it's in Unit 3, and I also put it in today's assignment so you can look at it. You might want to take a picture of it with your camera or your phone camera just so you have it so you can look at it. Here's your equation. These are linear transformations, meaning what happens to my parent function when I make changes to the m and the b. Remember, m is the slope. When it's in y equals format, you can see the slope, you can see the y-intercept. This is where it's crossing the y-axis. The slope is how steep the line is. So if this is a positive number in front of the x, it goes up from left to right. If it's a negative number, it goes down from left to right. The bigger the number is, 3, 5, 10, 20, the bigger it gets, the steeper it gets. So instead of being here, it gets steeper, 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 the bigger the number gets. The smaller the number is, the flatter it gets, all the way down to 0, in which case it's perfectly flat. So bigger number, steeper, smaller number, less steep. The y-intercept shifts it up and down on the y-axis. So if I have my line here and it raises up 3, it just goes straight up 3 on the y-axis or down 4 on the y-axis. So the b number just shifts it up or down. It just says where is it crossing on the y-axis. It does not change the slope. It just shifts it straight up the y-axis or straight down the y-axis. Is it crossing up at a positive 4 or is it crossing down at a negative 2? So that just tells you where it is on the y-axis, up or down. Now, shorthand. When they give you the two equations, it's easy. You put them in the calculator and just look to see what changed from the first one to the second one. Remember, the first one is always your parent equation, which is just y equals x. F of x is your y, so this is y equals x. Now, remember there's a slope number here in front of the x. It's a 1. We don't write it, but it is there. And remember, f of x is the same thing as your y, so this is y equals 1x. The y-intercept, there's nothing there, but it is plus 0, because plus 0 won't change anything. So my y-intercept is a 0, and the slope is a positive 1. It's going up from left to right. It's going up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. What they're going to do is they're going to tell you take your parent function and make a change to it and make a new graph. So they're going to say take your parent equation and subtract 3. If they add or subtract on the outside of it, that means you're shifting it up or down with the y-intercept. So if it's minus 3, they shifted it down 3. If it's a plus 2, it's shifting up 2. So whatever the number is on the end, if it's a positive, you're going up. If it's a negative, you're going down. And that's changing the b number. Now, if they put a number in front of the f of x, that means you're multiplying. So if you're multiplying with a number in front of the f of x, that's changing the slope number. So if I'm multiplying by 3, my slope is going to get bigger, which means it's going to get steeper. If I multiply by a number less than 1, it's going to get smaller, so it will be less steep. So multiplying by 1/2, 1/4, 3/8, 5/6, anything less than 1. If they multiply by a negative sign, that means instead of being a positive slope going up, it's now a negative slope going down. So multiplying by a negative sign just changes the direction. All right, so there's that in a nutshell. So let's go do a few of these and see how we do. Here's my parent function, just reminding you f of x equals x is the parent function. You can also write it as y equals 1x because there's a 1 in front of the x, plus 0, y-intercept is 0, slope is 1. Y-intercept is 0, slope is 1. Y equals x, slope is 1, y-intercept is 0. So all three of these are the exact same parent function. Here's the graph of the parent function. It goes through the origin because it's crossing the y-axis at 0. So there's my y-intercept of 0, and it's a positive 1 slope, so up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. That's the graph that it is originally. So what if they give you some questions and say, okay, take that graph and add 5 to it. Remember my shortcut? If we're adding on the outside or subtracting, that's your up and down movement. And what did we do to the parent function? We added 5. So what is that going to do to my graph? It's going to take it and shift it straight up 5 units. Instead of crossing here at 0, it's going to cross up here at a positive 5. So it doesn't change the slope. It just shifts the whole line straight up. So that is shifting it up 5 units. The next one, new equation is g of x. It means take the first equation, the f of x, the parent function, and subtract 1. If you subtract or add on the outside, it's shifting it up or down. So this is down 1. It just took that line and shifted it down 1 unit, so it's now crossing at negative 1 on the y-axis. Here's another one. G of x is the new one. They're taking the original equation f of x and adding 4. Remember, if it's adding, subtracting on the outside, it's just shifting it up or down. If it's a positive number, it's going up. Negative number, it's going down. So this is adding 4. It is going up 4 units. All right, so there's the adding and subtracting, shifting it up and down. The next set. Flip this over. Really, I'm going to flip this over. Okay, the next step. Again, I wrote the f of x up here, the parent function, so you can see it. G of x is the new one. They're taking f of x and multiplying it by a negative number. Remember, if you're multiplying in front, this is going to change my slope number, okay? This is going to change the m number. So if I multiply by a negative sign, instead of being a positive slope, it's now going to be a negative slope, so it changes direction. Instead of my line going up, it's now going down. So for this one, the slope itself didn't change. It's still a 1, but now instead of going up 1 over 1, it's going to be down over 1. So this line would look like this. It would be going down instead of up. So all it did was change the direction. The next one, g of x is the new one. I took my f of x and multiplied by a 4. So remember, if we're multiplying in front of the f of x, that means it's changing my slope. Is 4 bigger than 1? Yes, multiplying my slope by 4 is going to make it bigger, so it's going to be steeper. Multiplying by a number bigger than 1 is going to make it bigger. So here's my new equation, g of x. Here's the original f of x, the parent function. Multiply it by 3/8. Is this fraction smaller than 1? As long as the top number is smaller than the bottom number, then yes, it is smaller than 1. So that means my slope is going to get smaller, and that means my line is going to get less steep. That's the only thing happening, is it's getting less steep. G of x is the new one. They're taking the original parent function f of x and multiplying by 1/4. Is the top number smaller than the bottom number? Yes. So this fraction is less than 1, so my line is going to get less steep. This one, g of x equals 3/2 f of x. So I'm multiplying my original equation f of x by 3/2. Is the top number smaller than the bottom number? No, it is not. This number is bigger than 1. So if I'm multiplying by a number bigger than 1, what's going to happen? It's going to get bigger, which means it's going to get steeper. So this is a steeper one. So be careful. Don't just assume fractions are smaller than 1. If the top number is less than the bottom number, then it is small. But if the top number is bigger than the bottom number, then it's bigger than 1. So just want to point that out on fractions, because I know we forget fractions sometimes. Now, they can do a combination of things. Here's your parent function again. The new equation. Take your parent function and multiply by 2. If you're multiplying by 2, the slope is getting bigger, so it's getting steeper. What else is happening? It is being shifted up 1 unit. So the line from where it was got steeper, and it shifted up 2 units. This one, new equation g of x, we're multiplying by a fraction 2/3 to the original equation and subtracting 4. The top number of this fraction is smaller than the bottom number, so this fraction is smaller than 1. So if I'm multiplying by a number smaller than 1, it gets less steep. It got flatter. And -4 subtracting 4 outside means it shifted down 4 units on the y-axis. Here's my g of x. Here's my original equation. I'm multiplying by a negative number, so instead of going up, it's now going down. And since I'm multiplying by a 3, which is bigger than 1, it got very steep going down. So it's steeper, and it changed direction. If I add 2 on the end, that shifts it up and down, so it shifted up 2 units. So all 3 things happened here. It changed direction, it got steeper, and it shifted up 2 units. So there is your nutshell on this. Go do the worksheet. Bye.